LATD Nation, what's good, y'all? We back in here with another one for y'all, another movie review. This is your boy Jay.
Been a while.
Exactly. This is your boy Jay.
And this is Rodney, of course, as always.
Yes, sir. And today we're gonna be talking about Alien Romulus, the newest, latest Alien movie that came out this past Thursday.
Yes, sir. Arriving just a little over 7 years after Alien Covenant, which, I remember. You know, the funny thing is, I remember this movie mostly, not really for the movie itself, but I remember because it was the last day of my, high school journey. Like, it was literally the final day of high school. It was me and a few of, I can't remember exactly. It was me and a few of, the guys from back then. Right. We had went and we saw that movie that day. That's the best memory I really have of that movie. But other than that, I don't remember it being too great. I wasn't overly fond of it. Right.
So y'all already know the aliens, the main bad guys of the whole movie that is based on the xenomorphs. The little all black, pitch black.
Arguably the coolest alien ever created, in my opinion. It's Cole for sure. I love.
I'll give it to the Predators. I'll give it to the Predators.
I gotta decide which one I like more, to be honest with you. I love them both.
But anyway, it starts off in 1979, the first movie. Not a dystopian world, kind of sort of dystopian.
I would argue, it is kind of dystopian.
But, space colonies, going to colonize different planets and stuff for resources so they can live, for Earth and everything, Starring Sigourney Weaver.
Of course, legendary actress.
For the first 3 Alien movies.
Yes, sir.
And, yeah.
Legendary franchise. Alien, the original, is considered to be not only one of the greatest movies of the 70s, one of the greatest movies ever made in the horror genre, and it was in the sci-fi genre. And right. It was a movie that was really ahead of its time, just for the visual effects, the storytelling.
A lot of them being practical.
Yeah, exactly.
Saying a lot in this movie too.
And it's funny because you say that because the xenomorph actually back then, it was actually somebody in a suit.
Word.
Yeah, it was actually somebody in a suit. So it was a lot of physical acting that went into Alien that made it a success. And then it was 86 was when Aliens came out.
Right. Yeah, 86.
Which Aliens was notable for being the sequel. And what it did was it essentially transformed it from a more horror sort of focus and narrative to a more sort of
sci-fi thriller.
Yeah, more sort of an action. It was more of an action movie.
Okay.
And that's considered to be one of the greatest sequels ever made, one of the greatest movies ever made, one of the greatest action movies ever made. But then after that, Alien as a franchise has kind of taken sort of a detour / downward turn because a lot of people didn't like Alien 3. Alien Resurrection fared worse in most people's opinion.
Prometheus, I heard, wasn't good either.
People don't really like Prometheus that much. People don't really seem to like Alien Covenant. People seem to kind of like the Alien vs. Predator movie, but I think that's more for novelty than for actual quality. So the Alien franchise has seen a lot of success, but it's been a very, very mixed bag. It hasn't really ever recovered since Alien 3 kind of was, the drop off. It kind of had sparks where it's like, okay. And I feel like it's been more successful lately in terms of like the licensed material, stuff like Alien Isolation. A lot of people really, really love that game. And that game is probably the biggest success that this franchise has seen since Aliens in terms of critical. So with all that being said, I enjoy the Alien movies a lot. I remember watching them as a kid. That was one of the earliest movies I remember watching, especially horror. Mm-hmm. I've always been a huge fan of the xenomorph's design. Funny enough, Akira Toriyama, rest in peace, was inspired by the xenomorphs for Frieza's third form, which if you look at Frieza's third form, is very, very clear where that inspiration came from.
I thought you were going to say Mr. Popo.
Nah, definitely not. But
yeah, I definitely see that though. Like it looked like
just like it. Just like it.
Yep.
But not to cut you off.
No, you good. I never really seen the Alien movies though.
But yeah, for me, I never saw 3. I never saw Resurrection. I've seen Prometheus. It was all right. And Alien Covenant, like I said, I did see, but I wasn't overly fond of it. I thought it was cool or whatever. But in spite of that, when they announced that Alien Romulus was on the way, I was excited for it because not just because of the cast or whatever. You got Kaylee Spaney in there. You may remember her from Pacific Rim Uprising. That's where I had first saw her.
Right. Yeah, same here.
You got
terrible movie.
Loki, yeah.
So she was also in Civil War.
Yeah, she was.
Wasn't that a movie that we reviewed earlier this year when we first started the channel?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah. Y'all should go watch it.
But also it had Isabella Merced. She's of Nickelodeon fame or whatever. She was a part of that wave that was after, our time as far as,
Yeah.
But, it showed a lot of promise because it seemed like they were going back to the franchise's roots, more of a horror sort of.
Can I mention one more thing too?
Go ahead.
She was also in that trash movie, Madam Web.
Oh, yeah?
Ooh, Transformers: The Last Night, another terrible movie.
Oh, yeah, I hated that movie with a passion.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what? I lied. I hated 4 with a passion. 5 was funny to me.
Age of Extinction and Last Night were both terrible.
I hated Age of Extinction with a passion.
Her track record ain't good.
But Last Night was so bad it was hilarious.
The Dora movie that came out in 2019.
I actually heard people like that though.
Bump that. I don't care. Bump that. But her track record ain't very good. Okay. It ain't that bad. Migration in 2023, The Nut Job. Yeah.
I heard people kind of like sort of that. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I need to go back and do my research. But I was excited for this movie. Because I love horror. I'm a big horror fan. I love the Alien franchise as a property. I love the lore. It's very interesting. The Colonial Marines, Weyland-Yutani, the company. There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of stuff about Alien that I really, really think is cool and fascinating. Right. Aliens Colonial Marines kind of inspired that a little bit, that trash game. I remember when that game first came out, I got it. Because the reviews came out early, as they used to. The embargo was lifted, and it was completely panned. It was trashed, but I held out hope because I had been waiting for this game for years. So I really wanted it to be good. Garbage. Returned that like 2 days later, and this was when I was a kid too. So that's how you ain't returned games as a kid. Right. If you got a game, you play that thing even if it was garbage. I said, man, I want the money back that I didn't even spend on this trash. I want my mom's money back for her. But so Alien as a franchise has always been something I've been very interested in. I didn't hate Covenant, like I said, so I was willing to give this another try. And what I can say of Alien Romulus, I think it's a strong return to formula.
I agree.
Because it really goes back to basics. It really is very reminiscent of those earlier Alien movies, kind of more that sort of haunting, sort of claustrophobic, sort of very isolated feel. Because all of these movies generally take place on a space station, like in space. The tagline of the original movie was, "In space, nobody can hear you scream." So it was always that idea of you're trapped on this ship with this ultimate predator, because the xenomorph, in the lore is stated to have been created to be the ultimate predator. Like, it's supposed to be the most dangerous life form to ever exist. So just getting back to that, I think was a very, very, very smart move and a good look for the franchise. Fede Alvarez, he's the one that had directed this movie, and his credentials is pretty solid. He directed Don't Breathe in 2016. I remember seeing that movie my senior year, fire movie.
Evil Dead 2013.
Yeah, which I enjoyed that, even though it's really gratuitous with its blood or whatever the case may be. Still enjoy it. Not as good as the original, but I mean, what do you expect?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, Leatherface. I heard that was okay.
Yeah. But this movie, first of all, visually speaking,
beautiful.
Great visuals.
Absolutely beautiful. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I didn't my thing is the the visuals were amazing. Like even when they're on the desolate planet before they even get to everything.
Yeah, they do a good job of like getting you into the atmosphere and the world.
Exactly. Like it's ironically, it's not a lot of characters. Well, not really ironically, but it's not as a lot of characters because the first movie, I'm still watching it, but the first movie already established there were a bunch of characters in it.
Yeah.
And it's already established. I'm enjoying the first movie so far, though. Like, not a lot of characters, about like 7 people in total.
Yeah, which, in my opinion, that's all you really need for a story like this.
Yeah.
You don't really need a whole lot of characters. You don't need a whole lot of, like, I guess you could say much storylines going on. Because at the end of the day, the point is generally this life form that whoever it may be has to outwit, outsmart, survive whatever attack. And it accomplishes its goals well. Let's talk about Kaylee Spaney. I think she was really, really good in this movie. Mm-hmm. As Rain, I believe was her name.
Let me see. Her name was Rain.
Yeah.
Same thing with David Johnson.
Yes.
Who played Andy, the synthetic
surrogate brother.
Surrogate brother, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that was really, really cool about him was the fact that he played a dual role.
Exactly.
Because, and I don't know, would you consider this a spoiler?
Depending on what you're about to say.
Because, in the movie they find a chip and they put it in. Because so they find a chip early in the movie. Because the plot of the movie is generally she's trying to get off world and she's trying to travel to this planet. And she's denied that initially because she doesn't have enough credit hours or whatever the case may be. So she goes to her old friends who have come up with this idea of going to this abandoned space station so they can get whatever resources that they need in order to make that trip. But what happens is chaos ensues, things of that nature. We're not going to spoil it, but they find a chip off of a dead synthetic and they put it in his I guess core, whatever you want to call it.
Neural cortex is what I'll say.
Yeah, and it transforms him to a completely different person. He goes from being this very,
almost timid,
very sort of like
almost like a kind of autistic in a way.
Yeah, he goes from being that to being this very confident, very cold, calculating, very knowledgeable individual. So that was a standout for me because like the way that actor had played those dual roles so perfectly. Oh yeah, it really added a lot. I feel like he was low key kind of the standout.
He definitely was for me because I like when he showed up as confident and everything, and then like the way he just went for it was like night and day. It was like gradual, but it was literally night and day.
Exactly.
You see him kind of timid, like you see one of the other characters who's really a jerk named Bjorn. Yeah, named Bjorn. The Scandinavian name, I guess. Yeah. Because the J sound like a Y.
Bjorn, like that, the singer.
Oh, okay. Or like Torbjorn.
Yeah.
From Overwatch.
Either way.
Team. Anyway, so he's very much a jerk in this one.
Yeah.
Played by Spike Feem.
Yeah.
He's a jerk in this one because
didn't care for him.
But I won't say why. But he's very much a jerk to Andy David Johnson.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So but to see him kind of like, because he's, like I said, David Johnson, Andy, he's very like timid and very like, hi everyone, hi, telling dad jokes, I messed up. And he's very much like, but then once he gets that little chip in his head for like a brief second, he's like, hello everyone, what's going on? This, that, and the third.
Yes, he's a whole different person.
Like he's a whole different person. And then once he gets a full brand new directive, he's just like grabbing like face huggers out the air and everything like that. Like he's super tough.
For sure. And I think that those two characters are really like the best aspect of this movie from a character perspective, because truth be told, all the other characters, there's not really a whole lot of setup with them. There's not really a whole lot of development for them. They're just kind of there, kind of just serve as fodder, I guess you could say.
Especially Bjorn.
Which, in my opinion, is kind of a disappointment in a way, because I kind of did want to see more of... Because they're all implied to have history. Like, they have a past.
Right.
And I would have liked to have seen more of that be explored throughout the movie.
Because that's what they did in the first movie. Like, either way, they don't really explain much of their past.
Yeah, they really don't.
But you get that there's a camaraderie there.
Yeah, you get that they've known each other for a while.
Right. But
like,
these characters don't really have that camaraderie. They're more like begrudging acquaintances rather than full on friends.
I mean, a few of them are family, so
yeah, well, only two of them. But yeah, I get that.
But yeah, so it just those characters are kind of there. They kind of do what they need to do. They're not anything special. But what is special, in my opinion, the visuals, the setup as far as the xenomorphs and the face huggers, everything that you want in an alien movie is here. You know,
cranked up to 11.
It's. Oh. I wouldn't say that it's the scariest movie I've ever seen, but it definitely has some tense moments. It definitely knows how to build tension well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It knows how to get a few jumps out of you, and it does know how to build a sense of dread.
Right, its gross out horror is immaculate.
Oh, for sure.
Not because it's gross, but because it does what it's supposed to do as far as looking scary and looking painful and especially like, I'm not gonna spoil nothing, but a certain character in this movie is with child, so
oh yeah, that's all you need to know.
Yeah, take that into account. But the gross out the humor, the goriness of it is very on point. Like I'll give him this. It does its job. Fede Alvarez does a good job with the horror in it.
Yeah,
it's just. Oh man, like some of this stuff still kind of stayed with me when I go live.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that was his job. I think he understood the assignment.
Oh yeah, he definitely did. The performances overall were still good.
They're good performances. Yeah,
like we said, David Johnson was the standout. But all of them,
he's a clear cut standout in my opinion.
Exactly, but all of them were good. The dude Spike Fiend, he did a good job as playing that one. It's very cliche in how these characters like archetypes are. You got that one stoic pilot played by Eileen Wu who plays Navarro. You got pretty much the cannon fodder character of the team, who's also turns out to be the jerk of the team, Bjorn. Then that timid guy Andy, and then the stoic leader Tyler, and then played by Kaylee Spaney, Rain. Yeah. Oh, Tyler's also played by Archie Renault, and played by Kaylee Spaney, Rain, just a new girl who's really just kind of there.
Yeah. Well, she's not there. Like they're implied to have all known each other. They've had previous history.
Right.
Like,
Well, yeah, my fault. Yeah. Not just there, but like the new girl essentially.
Yeah. She's kind of just tagging along with them. She's not. It's not that she doesn't know them, but it's kind of like she's implied to have like fell out with them for whatever reason, and they're kind of like old friends. Like you see a picture of all of them in the ship, so they're implied to have had at one point in time been very close.
Okay. So
yeah, I agree with everything that you said. I think that it's very effective in terms of like the visuals. Like it has just enough gore to where it gives you that sense of like, oh, this is real. Like this thing is a real threat. It has a lot of. I don't know if I would say it does a lot of lore building. I think Prometheus tried to do more of that, but that was to mixed results. Because the idea of that. Because it was supposed to be a trilogy. It was supposed to be Prometheus, and then Alien Covenant was the sequel, and then the third one was supposed to explore, LV-426, the home world, who created the xenomorphs, things like that. But that was all scrapped in favor of like this kind of going back to basics, which I do think was the right decision.
I agree.
There isn't a whole lot of lore building, like I said, but it's a solid entry in the franchise.
I 100% agree.
It did exactly what it needed to do. I think it brought Alien back to its former glory to a degree. Now, one thing I will say about it, you could argue that's a little bit too derivative of the original Alien/Aliens. There's definitely a lot of callbacks to those first few movies and beyond, which Double Toasted they highlighted in their review.
Right, shout out Double Toasted.
For sure. And then speaking of them, they along with, I think, the ending and just the way everything goes, like that last 15, 20 minutes, there's kind of like a mixed reaction to it. Some people love it, some people hate it. Personally, we enjoyed it. I liked it.
Right. It was.
I didn't hate it whatsoever. I thought it was kind of interesting. That's probably the best piece of lore building that they do with this movie. That's probably the biggest example of lore building.
One thing I liked about this movie is that it seemed to stand out on its own.
Oh, for sure.
Like I like that it's like its own self-contained story and just doesn't bring back Ripley.
Yeah, it's his own self-contained because it's set between the events of Alien and Aliens, because the gap between those movies is like 57 years or something like that. So there's a lot that you can do within that time, whereas Prometheus and Alien Covenant were all set before the events of the original Alien.
Okay, so that's cool. So I like that they did space it out that way, so there's more space to put in and fill in the gaps or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Or no, make more self-contained stories. But like you said, what Double Toast did, their problem was the last 15 minutes, like you said.
Yeah.
And although I didn't really watch any of them, I'm watching the first movie now. I get where Corey on that show is coming from. Because I'm the same way when it comes to like Easter eggs and nods to like previous films, unless it's like Pixar.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I like my Easter eggs in movies, kind of like how they did it in Deadpool and Wolverine, and in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, where the cameos and the references move the story forward rather than just being there for the sake of being there.
Yeah,
unless they're like blinking or miss moments, like Pixar does, like I said with their movies.
For sure, yeah.
You know what I'm saying. Because there's like a particular scene in there that they mentioned and that you told me about as well. And after I looked it up, I'm like, okay, I see what you're talking about. I see what they mean. Because even the moments like that where it's a scene with Andy. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. But it's like it's always those like cliche scenes where the timid character gets like confidence and cusses somebody out.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I get that those scenes kind of annoy me too. I'm not gonna lie. I get where they're coming from. Like, it didn't really bother me. My only complaint with this movie is the fact that it was just a tad bit too long. Like, it could have been cut down by those 15 minutes didn't need to be there. Because this whole movie felt like what else could go wrong the movie.
For sure.
You know?
Literally.
Because a lot of dumb crap happens in
There's some stupid stuff towards the end, for sure.
Yeah, it's
definitely. In my opinion, it's not game breaking, but it does raise an eyebrow or two.
Right, like it's kind of like this don't really need to be here.
Yeah,
you know, they like I said, everybody gets back on the ship. Everything could have been fine, and left it there.
That's the only issue I have too. I can agree with that.
Right, but like overall, like I thought it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did because y'all already know I'm not a huge horror fan, but I do like horror movies every now and again.
For sure,
the more and more monster movies like Aliens or Jeepers Creepers. Favorite horror movies of all time, Jeepers Creepers, or like the Jordan Peele movies. But this one, I never seen an Alien movie at that time. I'm just expecting to be like, oh my gosh, this is gonna give me nightmares, this, that, and the third. It still might, but but I didn't expect that to love it as much as I did. I really enjoyed this movie, and with my rating, I'll give it's solid high heat for me. It's a 9 out of 10.
I can say the exact same thing. And enjoyment in particular, definitely a 9 out of 10. I enjoyed this movie. Felt like a true summer blockbuster, and it really kind of capped off the summer blockbuster like season perfectly for me. I thought it was a great movie. I enjoyed the characters. Wish I could have seen a little bit more of them.
I agree.
I enjoyed the story. Like I said, I've been a big fan of the lore for a long time. I love everything to do with the alien universe. So that was enjoyable for me, how they kind of moved that forward. And just overall, I just enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed 100%. what they was doing with this. I think that it's a very solid entry in the franchise, and I'm looking forward to future Alien projects. I'm hoping that the next one doesn't take another 7 to 10 years or something like that. That's 100%. My biggest fear, because I think that they're cooking with this low key.
100%.
If they keep going in this path, I'm all for it. I will give it a high heat as well. I messed with it. Pure and simple. I messed with it. Good movie. Great movie, matter of fact.
Yeah, great movie. One of my favorites of the year. It might be
same.
Like when we do our top 5 worst and top 5 favorites list, it's gonna be on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, maybe I don't know.
Time will tell for sure.
Yeah, because we still got more movies to watch, more games to play, and more anime to watch. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, for more reviews from us, man. Is that all you got?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Shoot, for more reviews from us, please leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. This has been your boy Jay.
And this has been Rodney.
And we are LATD, y'all. Remember, look at the details. Peace.